For the past several summers, I've had the privilege to perform and teach at the Hersbruck International Guitar Festival in Hersbruck, Germany. And when I'm there, I'm usually surrounded by incredible guitar players, particularly classical guitar players. People like Johannes Tonio Kroes, Anna Vidovic, the Brazilian master Yamandu Costa, Stephanie Jones, and many others. So whenever I go there, I usually catch the classical music bug. This year when I came home from the festival, I dove straight into learning a piece that had been on my bucket list for years, the J.S. Bach Fugue in G minor from his Violin Partita, BWV 1001. It's a pretty famous piece among guitar players. Whenever I tackle Bach's music, it is a pure challenge on so many levels. So here are 5 fundamental principles I've had to really use in learning this piece. Takeaway number 1, break it down into sections. In learning this fugue, I quickly realized that I couldn't just run through the whole piece every time, because if I had a small problem spot, I would have to wait much too long to practice the problem spot a second time, and that's pretty inefficient. So what's the solution? Break the entire piece down into smaller sections. That way, it's like solving several little puzzles, and that's way more manageable. Okay, so here's an example of one of these really tricky spots that I encountered where I had to isolate 3 measures because it was like a little puzzle. This example that I'm about to show you and one other example that's coming up in the video, I've put into a little PDF that you can download so you can try to play these little excerpts yourself. And that's a lot more fun than trying to play the whole piece and getting overwhelmed. So you can just sort of see what I'm talking about, maybe see if you'd come up with a different solution to solve this problem. So in measure 12, there's this thing where by the 8th fret, where we would think like C minor bar chord, there's 3 voices, and the middle voice does these pull-offs, or at least some kind of motion. I try to do pull-offs with chords going on. So there's this going on at the same time as. There we go. Now, that may not seem that crazy, but once it's in the mix of all this chaos and other stuff, you have to remember it gets pretty tricky. Let me start at the beginning of measure 11. So this is all pretty good. Now, watch what's going to happen here. We're about to lead up into what I just showed you. You would think if you're just reading the tabs, you would play it with your left hand, just pushing the one note down. But one of the things that I did was make a hinge bar where I used the side of my finger. That way, going quickly, look at my index finger, see how it's straight? Going quickly into the 8th fret on a bar, it's just a little less movement than getting a curled up finger and having to straighten it out. Ready? And. Okay, so that's one little puzzle. Takeaway number 2, practice slowly. Growing up, all my teachers always said this to me, but now I'm saying this to you, slow down. Think of slow practice like the process of installing software on your computer. And by the way, now you know that I'm an old guy because I used to buy software on 3x5-inch floppy disks, so I'm pretty old school. But when you install software, it takes time to write all those files properly, and you can't rush the installation process. So when I started learning the fugue, I had to work at a very slow speed, and I still have to. As the files got written into my brain and hands, I would check and speed up a little bit to see, does it flow or am I hitting a wall? If it falls apart as you speed up, or if you find yourself going off the rails, You need to go back to really slow practice because it means the installation is not complete. Takeaway number 3, think lines, not chords. When I come up with fingerstyle arrangements of pop tunes or jazz standards, I build them envisioning 3 parts. A top line, which is usually the melody, a bottom, which is usually the bass, and something in the middle, which is some type of accompaniment, maybe 1 or 2 notes. And I got this concept from studying the music of Bach. Yeah. This fugue is no exception. There are 3 independent melody lines, and they intertwine beautifully to make counterpoint. Let's take another look at one of these little puzzles. It's measures 82 and 83 of the fugue. There's this main theme. You might think of it as a theme, but technically it's called the subject of the fugue. Let's just start by taking a listen to it. This is how the whole piece opens. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? In this passage, this puzzle, number 2, he uses it in the bass. Now, he's going to end on a slightly different note. If it were literal, he would go. But he's going to end on the note B instead, and it's going to kind of veer off into another direction. So it's going to sound like this. And then it keeps going somewhere else. If you're looking at this just like tablatures, it looks like a bunch of chords, right? But it's actually this. That line has to come through in the bottom. So we've got to see this like moving lines, and it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3. And what's particularly tricky is the bass line is jumping around and incorporating open strings. And you may not feel the continuity of the bass line, but you've got to know to listen for bong, 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 bong. Let's hear that one more time. Takeaway number 4, feel the groove before you start to play. Here's something from my jazz training that transformed how I play everything, whether it's Bach or Beatles or whatever. Before you start playing, count the music off with the groove that you intend to have. So when I'm playing all this stuff, even though it's classical music, I'm trying to go, bing, 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 doom, ding, doom, right? And my foot's tapping, boom, boom. So there's still a heartbeat going on underneath the music. Takeaway number 5, put in the time and don't look for results. Here's a little mindset shift that will save you a lot of frustration. Don't look for results at the end of your practice sessions. Just put the time in. If you were to set a goal like, today I want to play this piece perfectly, it may be unrealistic and it might lead you to a feeling of failure or frustration. So pro musicians think like this. Okay, today I'm going to put in 30 minutes on this section, and hopefully in 2 weeks, it'll start to shape up and feel like it's getting somewhere. That's because you learn with experience that when you step away from practicing and forget about what you're working on, your subconscious mind is actually still churning away at solutions, like solutions for fingerings or phrasing. So those are my 5 takeaways from learning this very challenging piece. Let's review real quick. 1, breaking it down into smaller chunks. 2, practicing slowly. 3, hearing the independent melody lines and thinking lines instead of chords. 4, feeling the groove and getting in the pocket before you start to play. And 5, as you practice, just put in the time and don't look for immediate results. Thank you for watching, and here's the Fugue in G minor.